So this evening, for me, morning for all of you, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce Hanmin Louis. Uh, and Hanmin's a special person, and I'm really proud to call him a friend. Hanmin has spent his entire career in one way or another serving others. And he's been chairman of the board of a very large, one of the largest foundations in America. I don't know how he does it, but he's got 2 PhDs. He's got his own wonderful nonprofit foundation headquartered in San Francisco. And for more than 30 years through that foundation, he's worked with various ethnic communities in America and elsewhere and helped them to adjust to cultural changes. And this morning, Hanmin will talk to us about what he's learned and what he's experienced in finding the hidden capital in a community and how engaging and empowering that hidden capital can have a profound effect on the community's well-being. And Hanmin, we're just delighted to have you with us this morning, and I will turn it over to you and we will get started.
Again, thank you, Bill, for the introduction. I feel very honored to have this chance to visit and to share with all of you the experiences and what we've learned from the communities. I'm going to start with a set of slides, and let's see. And let's. Yeah, first, really blessings to you, and thank you again for attending the session and for what I hope to be a very productive time for us to share and to talk about communities and about the power of communities. So let's start with the community. In the way that we've learned about, I've learned and my colleagues and I have learned about communities, that it really is a special place because that is the unit of change, the community. And we see that in the community, there are two very different power forces in the community. One force is the formal structures, and then the other is the informal structures. And in order to, or let me just back up. The formal structures are, as we all know, they are the government organizations, the private organizations, businesses, small businesses, NGOs, the cultural and the spiritual temples and churches. This is what is the formal sector. But there's the informal sector that over time and over the many years we began to realize has an amazing power. And it's a power that we've come to say and come to think that in order for our communities today in 2023, in order for it to be sustainable, we have to have both. We have to have both an active, productive formal structures, but also an informal structure or structures that help to, albeit invisible, help to keep the movement and the relationships and the work that is and all the work that is being done that happens in the village to continue to go on in this way. So in the informal sector, what we see are members of the family, clan members, and leaders and members of the temple. And we make the distinction between the members and leaders of the temple and the temple themselves, because the leaders and the members of the temple have their own organization. You know, they being outside the temple, there's as we've come to see, a very important role that they play in the community. So when we enter community, we're looking at both. What are the formal structures and what are the informal structures? Today, I'm going to focus on the informal, but just to say, both are very important. In our work, what we want to do is first understand the structures of the community, and then we figure out, well, how do we strengthen the structures? And whether we're focused on health or education or affordable housing or quality of water, or whether it's farming, or all the many different kinds of uh, activities, kinds of services that are necessary for a community to be vital today. What we've come to see is that in the formal sector is a different pathway than the informal sector. Let me see if I can explain a little bit more. In the formal sector, it's primarily driven by politics and money. Not a lot, but it's pretty much it's a top down. I guess in your structure, it would be the district to the commune to the village structure. Here in the United States, it would be the county, the city and county. Then it would go to neighborhoods, then it would go to communities. But it goes down in terms of levels of power and authority. It's very important to have the leaders of good leaders. Hopefully, by and large, they are, but some aren't. But that is really important for those leaders to be supportive of the community, but also to develop policies and practices that help the community grow and be prosperous, but also help the community to sustain themselves. The second part is below this line with informal capital. And informal capital, I put the heart in the center of this because in informal capital, the power comes from the heart. It comes from the love that people have to one another, the spiritual and the cultural connections that people have with one another. And it comes from a set of experiences growing up together where you just learn about each other and care about each other. In maybe about 5 or 10 minutes, as I kind of go through my presentation, I will be asking you questions about really an important question to some of you about who was really important, who made a big difference in your life. You know, we think back on that, you know, who was that person or group of people? For me, it was my grandmother, because my grandmother was had immigrated from China. She spoke only Chinese. She was 4 feet, 10 inches. She had bounded feet. But for the first 5 years of my life, she gave me the kind of love that led me to be able to get the degrees that I got, do what I got to do, and be the chairman of a very large board and manage that board in such a way that we were able to make some difference in the United States and the world. So that was that, but that's just one example. Each one of you will have your own, but it's that person or people who made a big difference in your life. That comes from love. That comes from a sense of responsibility, a sense of integrity, a sense of wanting to help the next generation improve itself. Now, this is a picture of a baby that was just born, and he's sleeping or laying on his mother's breast. And why I chose this picture is that this relationship between the child and the mother is so special, but yet it is in all of our lives. It doesn't matter what race, what ethnicity, our income level, but it's when we have that way of touching and being connected to each other, where this little baby is feeling safe, feeling loved, and feeling secure. This is, while it happens naturally, what we're seeing over time is that if we don't put a spotlight on activities and relationships like this in our village and our communities, what happens is we forget about this and we think more about the money or success, which actually it becomes imbalance in terms of the way a community can grow. Another dimension of informal structures that lead to the hidden capital is learning and growing. Now here you see 2 pandas. See the baby panda is climbing up the tree, and the mama panda is pushing the baby up the tree. Now, and why do you think this is an example that is important in informal capital is that, or informal structures, is that in that specific relationship between the baby and the mother is that the mother is teaching the baby how to climb a tree and how to grow. This also is something that comes naturally. It comes out of a relationship between the mother and the baby, and it comes out of a sense of love and dedication. These are, we would say, well, that's just natural, but what we're saying is that, in particular in these times, we think that we want to put a spotlight on all these kinds of activities, because they then can help balance the stress, the strain, and the challenges that we face in the formal side of our work. Now, here's my definition. Here's our definition of the hidden capital, or what we call informal capital. Informal capital is the result of positive experiences in community. This is experiences over many, many, many years. It could be decades. It could be, in some cases, generational experience that accumulates over time, that brings about decision-making, collective action in a thoughtful, trusting, and effective way. As we began to learn about our work in the foundation world and how we help communities, the first thing we would do is try to find the informal capital. Because if we could find the informal capital, we already know to a varying degree that works. If that works, well, we should support that. So even though we were there to help with providing funding for maybe it's health programs, or maybe it's a preschool project, or it's cleaning up the water, or advancing some level of technology in agriculture development or sustainability, what's really involved as well as those kinds of services is the relationships and the way people solve problems and the way they care about each other. What we came to realize is if we don't respect that, it becomes not only hidden but invisible, and then we ignore it. And when we ignore it, the community, after our funding, the project doesn't become sustainable. That after all the funding that we do, and then we end the project, and we say, okay, that's it for the funding, the programs don't continue. It's a really, so then we found, hey, there's another power, and this power is called informal capital. Now, I'd like to raise a question to you. I know we don't know each other. I know, you know me very well. I don't know you. This is our first time. But I really invite you to speak up about who made a profound difference in your life. Just as I gave the example of my grandmother. She taught me Chinese. When I went to American school and kindergarten, I spoke all Chinese. And I'm happy doing it that way, because I was able to keep my culture, my language, my tradition, and most importantly, I had this special connection with my grandmother. I wonder how many of you have had someone who has had a very profound effect on your life. And would you mind sharing who that person was, and if you had a symbol that you brought in preparation for this meeting that shows that symbol, that symbol describes what difference it's represents? I would really, really love to hear. I'm going to turn it over to Sobal or Bill for you to guide us through this next section.
I'm happy to, and I would love to hear 3 or 4 people take a minute or so each to respond to your question. With your screen sharing up, I cannot see all of the raised hands, so I'm only looking at a half a dozen faces at one time. I'm happy to call on a couple of people, but I would actually begin, if there's somebody that wants to volunteer, just speak up within the next 3 seconds to let me know that you'd like to volunteer. It's quiet. So Paul, would you speak to that? Would you be good enough to do that for us?
Yeah. So គ្នាយើងមានអ្នកណាគេចង់ចែករំលែកអីអត់យើងមានអីដែលយើងលោកគ្រូ
Just, yeah,
So who was
Good.
someone who had a profound difference, made a profound difference in your life? And what is it that reminds you always about that difference?
Okay, let me share a little bit.
Mhm.
So can I start?
Senta, we'd be happy to hear from you.
Yeah, very sorry if I'm coughing during I'm talking. Yeah, so yeah, my name is Seth Talong. So it's very great to hear from Mr. Haman.
Thank
Your
you.
presentation is very impressive and yeah, very great to hear from what you are doing, especially like formal and informal structure and role, whatever. Yeah. So yeah, relate to your question, who made profound difference in your life, right? So actually, yeah, I would like to share with you a bit. My name is Sitalong. I'm the founder and director of the local NGO named Build Your Future Today Center. We are one of the a very great partner to build and support a Sea Asia Foundation. Right. So actually, I have my yeah, I learned so much, so many. I mean, like from many people, different people. Yeah, international and also national. But I would raise to the most important. Uh, I mean, like idol or symbolic person of mine is my father.
Oh,
Yeah. So it yeah because he used to be a colonel in the military during the
oh,
Norwegian Republic, right? And then comes through the Khmer time, and then he changed his this guy his background, and then yeah, what I heard, yeah, based
oh.
on his knowledge and skill of like traditional healer that he learned before he become a colonel in military. He started to have people even during he lived with the yeah probably you heard about the Khmer time killing field, right? So
Wow.
at that time he and all people of Cambodia living you know with starvation, fair, and yeah, a lot of love. But he still make himself devoted to have not only to have the family, but also the other people who get sick. Yeah, during that time, you know, no proper medicine or doctor or whatever hospital, right? But
Hmm.
you know, he stay hungry and fair, living and working overload, but he still make time to taking care the family and also other people. So he during that time he saved thousand people life from the you know traditional medicine that he got help. And so during I found him in the refugee camp when we fled out from the Khmer when he met with me and then you know, he joined with me and mentoring me to not only caring ourselves and our own family, but also have sharing and saving the younger kids. So that's what I have been learning and doing on what I learned from him till today. So this is something like really would like to share.
Oh, wow.
That's a powerful story. It's a
Good.
powerful story.
Wow. It
Would,
touches
would,
my heart.
would-
Yeah.
would one or two others like to share who was so influential in their life? Hodam, I see your hand is up.
Yes. Hang on. Yeah, I like to also share, talk about the person who changed my life.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
it was the founder and director of BFT, Mr. Setha. Actually, I was not. I was originally from the Thai border. Where I about 20 years ago, and I moved to Siem Reap when I was about 19 and 20 years of age. I was introduced to BFT by my old friend. My previous time in Siem Reap. Yutan is Setha's son, and Setha is the founder. And so I was introduced. Introduction was legit call, and Setha agreed me to study. In the school. After some time, I asked if I could move to BFT house, and Setha agreed to this. I learned at school for around 3 or 4 years, by which time my English was quite acceptable. He offered me a job, as a volunteer with the staff. I visited villages where BFT work. I also started learning, teaching, other children in school. My first job was, project coordinator, working in the quarantine villages. After a couple of years, I moved on to the program manager, on nutrition and health development. In this capacity, I had worked with many volunteers. I moved on to being a program manager, program director at BFT. Coordinating all the work, all the various villages. Consider where I was about 15 years ago. I maybe with prison illegal, went illegally to Thailand, or that. I am now have a very bright future ahead, and I'm grateful to BFT for a chance. It has given me, and I'm happy to give back to the community some of the benefits myself if I have to see. Something like this, if I haven't met BFT, my life probably different. So something like that, I like to share.
Hodam, thank you for that. You and I have talked
Appreciate it.
on a previous occasion, and you've told me with a little more detail about some of the circumstances of your growing up on the Thai border, and it's a wonder you lived through some of that. And so I can understand why you would think Seta was such a powerful influence on your life. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
One more before we move on, because I want to also be mindful of Hanmin's time. He's got a lot more to share with us.
ហើយក៏យន្តចម្រើនទេសចរណ៍សម្រាប់
Sure, we'd love to hear.
Hello, Bill. Can I share something? I don't know how to raise my hand here, but I want to share something about my life.
Of course you may, and thank you for speaking up.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know to raise the hand in this video because it is my first time to use this meeting. Yes, so my English is not good, and I'm sorry if I have any inconvenience. For me, for my own story, I was born with underprivileged family. So two people that I really respect, and they are my idol.
Lực đại vậy lại nói lực đại vậy.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
And the first one is my dad, my father. That he is the one that live in the difficult family, but he tried to send his children to study at university. Yes, so to get a higher education. And the second one is my friend. His name is Tom O'Brien. He's an American. The first time when I became a teacher, he hired me to teach the children in my community by teaching English language to the children.
Oh.
And after the fun end, I still enjoy my teaching and I want to help to teach the children in my community. So I started to create a local school called Green School. And at that time, it is not an NGO, but right now we registered to be NGO. Yes. So Tom O'Brien, he encouraged me and he helped me in many ways as he can. And right now we together help the children in this community to study English language and computer for free of charge. And there are 359 students that they are studying in my project. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
What a wonderful story.
Beautiful.
Just wonderful. Hanmin, I'm going to leave this to you. I have another hand raised. If you want to hear one more story, or do you want to move ahead?
Yeah, wonderful. Please. Yeah, they're all
Yeah.
just really beautiful stories.
So hello, Bill.
Hello, Sita. Yes.
Yes. Yeah, nice to see you, and
welcome
thank you so
welcome
much.
to the
And
group for your first time.
yeah, the first time for me. And hello to Mr. Hanmin Lu for the speakers today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And yeah, just short for me, and I would like to show my real background and story about the reason why I run the charity called Children Improvement Organization in Cambodia. Yes, and first I would like to show about a different life, who made a different life in my life. So for me, the first person in my mind is my mother. Yeah, she taught me a lot of things, and the most important thing is she made me want to become a good person.
Oh, wow.
Yes. When I was young, my mother told me about life and the best way to live to become a good man. So she is really the most influential person in my life. Yeah, but however, I got through. I mean, you know very well about Cambodia. Then I got through a hard life in the past, and I have only a single mother that I remember her face. And yeah, you know, Cambodian fall into the killing field, I think in April in 1975, I remember. And at that time, I was only 6 years old, but I also forced to go to the rice paddy to work as the old people. And yeah, I could not live and stay with my mothers. And I have 5 brothers and 2 sisters, but now I have only one sister to live. And yes, so there are hard life in the past. And my mother, she got through her life, hard life in the past, but she's still a strong lady. She still teach me to be a good person. That's the reason why I have to run the charity organization called Children Improvement Organization. And at the moment, we have 36 children who are living with us. So we call CIO. CIO is a non-profit organization that was created to save the life of orphan, homeless, and severely underprivileged children in Cambodia. And CIO is like a big family. And yeah, my wife and I, we are the only 2 people that provide around the clocks care for the children. Yeah.
Another wonderful story.
Thank you, Bill. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to meeting you, and I will share more story that after time is limit. So thank you for allowing me to have some short. Yes, thank you, sir. Okay, have a nice day.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hanmin, I think as we begin to open these stories up, they could go on and on. I could tell one, and I know others could tell one. So I'll turn the program back to you now.
Well, yes, I'm really moved by every one of your stories. The struggle, the pain, and the will, the strength to overcome the situations that each of you and all of you have experienced, and especially it's not just the survival, but what touches me, and what is a perfect example of the hidden capital, the informal capital, is the goodness that comes out of these actions by Mr. Tone, your father, actions by your young lady who's at the Green School Cambodia, her dad, and by the mother who's who's been helping to provide a sense of goodness and helping to persevere. All these examples are examples of what we mean by informal capital. And there are many, many more examples of this. And what we've come to see is that in so many ways, this wealth, it's not a financial wealth. It's not a wealth of material wealth, meaning, the houses and gardens and whatever, but it's a wealth that comes from your soul, your spirit, and your relationship. And what we've come to know is that when our villages and our communities have this kind of wealth, this kind of invisible, informal capital, and when there are dedicated people like each one of you who've talked about how much you are basically giving of your life for the young children and to the people that you're serving. This is really a very powerful force. It's a force because it's not just you, but I would guess that everyone here in our meeting today has some aspect of really of what we're talking about. And so when we combine all of this together under the leadership of your organization, your community leadership organization, you become a very important force, not only for the advancement of children and those who are underserved and those who are vulnerable, but not only do they get the service, but they get the goodness and the love of your heart. And for these reasons, we see that this is an absolutely important aspect of the building of a community. And I say this to our communities that are ethnic and indigenous, meaning that those of us who come from other parts of the world, because there is such a long tradition. It's not that everyone here in this America as well, but that it's just your legacy, which goes back literally thousands of years, and all of our legacies. It's of different ethnicities and races. It's a way in which it guides us. I'd like to give one example also about our experience when we started our work in the Stockton community in California. This was back in maybe 25 years ago when we were asked by the foundations in the country, the large foundations in the country, there are 31 altogether, to help organize a learning tour of 5 different Southeast Asian communities in and around the Northern California. So we spent 2 years preparing for this visit. And in that course of 2 years, Stockton, California was one of the cities that we worked in and that we learned from, and more specifically from the Cambodian community there. And one of the, we heard about the tragedies of the Khmer Rouge. I mean, it was almost unbearable for many of us to witness, but not even experience, and yet to know the pain and the healing that had happened to so many people. But then what happened was in Stockton, after there was a very large population of Cambodian elders, adults, and children who migrated to Stockton, thousands after in the mid 1970s and the early 80s, and so they formed their own community in Stockton. And then one day there was a gentleman who was a white supremacist, meaning that he believed that people of any ethnic background or racial background was a problem in America. So he brought his rifle and he killed 5 children. He killed 3 Cambodian girls of 3, 5, 6 years old, and 2 Vietnamese girls. And it was a tragedy that touched all of our lives, because we know that this is not just, it's once again how difficult this community and the people, and the Cambodian people, had to once again suffer. And so, we asked the community, how did you manage? How did you heal? And one of you talked about your father was a healer, as well as a military leader, and just a beautiful father. And I think what we came to see was that they said, well, there is this thing is the Look Acha that helped the community heal in Stockton. This was one, Mr. Hakdian was one, but I believe that there were others beyond Mr. Hakdian who spent time in the temple, being trained and being spiritually and morally elevated, and then he came out to live as a resident in Stockton. And in his story, and in the story of the families who were tragically lost their daughter, it was Luk Chat that was the person that represented informal cap that helped the community heal. And so we interviewed the families of the parents who lost a daughter, and the mother said that it reminded her of and I'm going to say this term, and I apologize for not being able to say it more, but and I'm sorry I can't speak Cambodian. I regret that, but it was atmut, and if it's the idea that it's suffering, that we must overcome suffering, that through hardship, we have to persevere, staying anchored, not to be distracted by anger, but to some ways accept the fate, but more importantly, to not become overwhelmed by the emotions. There is no service in America that could be more powerful and that could heal more of the community than Atmut, than Luk Acha. When we came to see this reality now 25 years ago, it actually changed the course of our direction about how to help the community. Because it's not only helping a community through the Western ways, which are helpful, very important, but it's also helped the community by strengthening and by relying upon the traditional and the cultural and the spiritual practices that still work today. So it's in this vein that we came to see, and this is why I was so grateful to Bill for inviting me to come speak to you today, because I felt that It's a story that I often don't have a chance to share to you in Cambodia. But we do see this here in America, and we do see the importance and influence of your practices and the leaders, the Lukachat, who are the ones who are guiding the moral and helping to heal the members of our community who are deeply wounded by the assaults that have happened to them and their families. In so many ways, this should have never happened in our times in the 21st century. But regrettably, this is still yet a situation that happens. I'd like to now switch to just one more thing, and then I'll finish up. I'm sorry I'm talking too long. I apologize. I sometimes want so much for you to learn so much of what we know, and I get carried away. The last thing I'd like to share with you is this map that we did. This is a map of Guangwai community. Guangwai is in the in the southern district of Beijing, China. And we've done quite a bit of work there off and on, more in the 70s and 80s to about 2000. We're currently not working in China today. But what we wanted to show you in this map, look at the left side of the map that shows a government building on the top left, the red building that kind of sticks out, and a home on the right. And then below the home is a hospital. Below the hospital is a family, and then there's a school with the blue building. And then on the left side is industry or factory, and then there's a collective farming. This is a model of how the community existed. This was Guangwai in the 1970s in Beijing. And then in 2003, you see on the right side, you can see that there's no longer a government building. Now there's an old house. The apartment buildings are now, instead of homes, apartments are very high rise. The red high rise, the green, the blue high rise apartment buildings where they now live. Then below that is the school's much bigger, more active. And below that, the hospital is more big. And then to the left of the hospital is modernization. You see the airplane and the spaceship, and you see there's this figurine that's gold and green. It's, in America, we call it the Joker. And the Joker is someone who doesn't always have a good spirit to do things that help people. Very mischief person. And then there's the commercial market. So, over the course of 33 years, from 1970 to 2003, you've seen the growth. You can see the growth of this map. The map from 1970 to 2003. While I haven't been in your villages, I suspect there's also similar growth in your villages. Right? Yeah. You raise your hand and you say, right? Yeah? No? Are they all the same? Or maybe you can discuss this later on. But the point I want to make is this, is that over time in our development and an advancement of health, education, schools, and with all of the quality of life, hopefully better for our children and our grandchildren and for the elders who live with us. For all of those reasons, we hope that all of our different communities are in some ways improve and advance. But the key, and this is what I want to end our session tonight with, or next to the last thing to say. The key is not the buildings, it's not the size, and it's important, the activities, all of that is important. But the key is that what happens to the informal capital in the 33 years? How do we know what that capital is, and over those last 30 years, how do we bring it forward in time? In many of our communities, we find that it is not happening. We lose that. We lose sight of the informal capital. And so my purpose tonight through the encouragement of Bill is to raise to you how important each one of you are in your role, not only in the service sector, and particularly children, for example, but also how do you bring forward the informal capital, the informal leaders, the Lok Acha, the Atmut, and all of that which is a part of your long tradition, your identity, your DNA. How do you bring that along so as to have both the material wealth that comes from time to time comes over time, but also the cultural and the spiritual wealth of the relationships that are being formed between and among you and your colleagues and the very beautiful children that you are caring for. Let me just end with a quote from Lao Tzu, where he says, you know, go to the people, live with them, learn from them, love them. Start with what they know, build with what they have. But with the best leaders, when the work is done, the task accomplished, the people will say, we have done this ourselves. And Bill and I have talked about this on many occasions, about the importance of this, how to say. And so in the course of your work, as you go to the many different villages you are engaged with and responsible for, we hope that you will continue. And we're sure you are going to the people. We're sure you're living with them and you're learning from them. But what we hope you will do after tonight's is to maybe pay a little bit more attention to the informal capital, so as to raise this with all both the community and the official formal leaders in the village, in the communes, in the districts in which you are involved with. So thank you very much. I'm sorry that I can't present this presentation in Cambodian. I've obviously taken way too much time, and I hope that even in my spoken English, it makes some sense to you, and that it will be of some help to you as you continue your very important work of really serving those in your community. Thank you very much.
Hanmin, thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. Would you stop your screen sharing now so that I can get all of the faces back on my screen?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry.
That's all right.
Wait, I think I can probably pull it. There it goes. All right. Thanks.
Yeah, there we are. Good job. Thank you again for a very thought-provoking conversation and presentation. And yes, it ran a little long, and it didn't feel like it though. It was very engaging for us, particularly when you get us thinking about who influenced us in our life and how that might translate into the work that we're doing.
Yes.
I'd like to continue if we can keep you online here for a little longer and see what kind of questions or just reactions or observations we have from anyone in the room here.
So thank you so much, Mr. Hanmin. Yeah, I'm so inspired or and motivate all your presentation. I wish you in the future to have the presentation in person to all of us here. It will be very, very more interact. I mean, like, yeah. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Said we'll keep our fingers crossed. I have already spoken with Hanmin, and what he talks about in half an hour or 45 minutes here, wouldn't that make a wonderful all-day workshop in Siem Reap?
Yeah.
I would, we would just dearly love that. So I've mentioned this to you before, Hanmin, and this probably isn't the last time you're going to hear it from me. So we'll just hold that thought.
Thank you. I'm very honored to be invited. Thank you. Very honored.
I see a number of thumbs up on my screen. We're open for questions, comments, or questions. What would you like Hanmin to say a little bit more about? Well, let me ask you one then, Hanmin, because I think I'm a nice guy. I think I'm a good guy. I think I've got a good heart. I think I want to do good work in Cambodia, but I got a Western brain, and I can't change that. I can learn, I can listen, I can pay attention, but I'm hardwired as a Western brain. So, and there are some other Westerners in the room here, and there are a number of other Westerners not in the room that are involved with these NGOs. How do we think about that? How do we be mindful about understanding those cultural differences and respecting them? Because it seems to me that's the pathway to the hidden capital.
It's my experience. What you're sharing, I've certainly experienced myself as well. That it's when among the 19 communities in which we've been involved in for over 45 years, every one of those communities, in some ways, we're an outsider. We're not, and so we weren't born and raised there. We don't have history with our families, or grandparents, great grandparents, great grandparents. We're not a part of that community, and so for those reasons, and we don't generally speak the language. And whether it's in the southern part of and the Sacred Mountains of Oaxaca, Mexico, or it's in Beijing, or in parts of Shanghai, or in Indian country and indigenous countries here in the United States with the Dene and Navajo people, or the Apaches. What we find is that the most important thing we have found is that as we go and learn about a community, we first and foremost we look for the informal leaders, and how we identify that is by seeing where the people are. Wherever there are groups of people, we will pay super attention to it could be in a temple, it could be out in the park, it could be in a schoolyard, it doesn't matter where it is. But when there are groups of people, and then there are some adults in that and among them, and there are more than adults, some, there are a plural of many adults, that we begin to pay attention to those groups. And and over time we introduce ourselves, and then we ask to spend time with them, to learn from them. For us, when we present ourselves in this way, we're not here because we have money. We're not here because we can solve your problems, but we're here to learn. We're here to learn how you solve your problems, and we will try to help you where we can. But in that approach, we find that it actually helps. But I'm sure you all are doing that already. The only other thought that I have is that, which we do quite often, is when we go to a temple and we're sitting in a service, a ceremony, we listen for where the very difficult questions are being asked, or a very emotional part of the conversation. And in that discussion, we look for where the eyes go in the room. the eyes will tell you almost everything about who's important in the room. And so for us, we just quietly sit in the front of a group of people, not facing them, but sitting in the front row. And as soon as we hear a very difficult set of conversations going on, we immediately turn around and look for who are the people talking to in the room. This helps us identify the informal leaders of the community. And then we follow up and ask questions, introduce ourselves. And then over time, I mean, our relationships with the communities we have, and some of them has been over 40 years, and we're still together. And so this, it builds.
Lita, can I ask you a question? Are you still with us? I don't see your face, but I see your name on the screen.
Yes, I'm still here.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Oh, good.
Because I use my phone data because the electricity cut off. That's why I turn off the videos.
Oh my goodness. Glad you're still here. I just was,
Yes.
when I was listening to what Hanmin was saying, I was thinking about the work that you're doing. These villages are a long way out from Siem Reap, and you're working in the schools, and you're getting cooperation with not only the hierarchy, the formal structure, but you're also working with the informal capital as you're dealing with the teachers in the school and who influences things in the school.
Yes.
How does what Hanmin is saying relate to some of your experiences in the field?
Yes. So first, thank you, Hanmin, for your presentation. It's a great learning for us. So thank you very much. And regarding to your question, I would say that I change my style of working to a community. We work like more informal with them, and we mostly listen to what they said, and then we motivate them with something that they think is not possible to do. And then we just work together and build like a plan together rather than go and tell them what to do. I don't know that I'm answer to your question or not.
That's wonderful.
I think you just hit it right on the nose. Yes, I heard two words that were really powerful: plan together.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So community, they just like us to tell them what they should do. But if we ask them to engage and also involve together, they will feel like, oh wow, this is what I can do, and also it more values to themselves. We kind of make ownership to them. So yeah, this is what we are working with the school and teachers at the ground.
That's wonderful work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Pani, can I call on you for a question? Are you there? I can hear little noise, but I'm not sure that. Are you hearing me, Sopani? Oh, I don't think we have a very good connection. Maybe somebody else can answer it for me. And Sopani. I'm afraid we're just not able to hear you. And Sopani, you're muted right now. If you unmuted, maybe that would help. No, I'm not. I'm still seeing that you are muted. Maybe one of the others of you could answer this. I can think of a half a dozen or 8 of you probably can, that you've struggled to get your NGOs up and working. And I was going to ask Sopani because I know that she started the Green School with virtually nothing.
Wow.
With virtually nothing.
Mm.
And how she engaged the community to bring some support to her. But Sita, I don't know your whole story yet, but I doubt that you started your organization with a big pile of money. And I think for several of the others. So if any others of you would like to just share a little bit with Hanmin, I'd speak up. You'll just need to unmute yourself if you want to speak.
Excuse me, Bill. Is it Seda or Sita is similar name? Then I confuse the name that you call.
Yes. Yes.
That my name or?
That was your name I mentioned. Sure, speak up.
Oh, I just look at the name that Seta, but he also the same name with mine. Then I confuse.
Yeah.
Then I keep. Yeah, actually, we run CIO, I think in 2009, and with 27 children. But I think we almost, I think in June 2012, we almost closed the center because we were facing the difficulty of financial support. But luckily, at that time, we met some people that they came to visit our place, and we informed them about our story and about our work, that we work for the children. Then we have an idea that we create a sponsorship program for each kid that they have to need for food, education, healthcare. Then since then, we have people come and help us, and we have sponsorship program for each child. Because we raise the children in the centers. And I think actually we moved 3 times already for the place, but now we have a permanent home for the children. Because before we rent a place, and we keep worry in our mind that how we should do to get the money to pay for the rent. But at the moment now we have a permanent home for the children. So we get to know Sarah. I think you know him. You know her. That she live in the USA. That big help for us. She build accommodation for us. So we have permanent home for our family, the big family in Siem Reap.
So Tita, where was the informal capital that you engaged?
In Siem Reap.
No, I mean, can you describe who helped you? Who was the informal capital that helped you?
Well, we have many people. That the main one is she from Australia. Her name is Janice. And then I got to know a man. His name Richard Cromwell, also from Maine, from USA. He also helped us. So the 2 main people that they have connection with each other, then they raised the idea to set up because sponsorship program for every child, to make sure they have proper food, clothes, school uniform, and everything that they keep the children go to school and have food.
So you were able to engage some outside capital to help you deal with a very challenging situation.
Honestly, we do not have any support from the government. We just only have from outside. From Australia.
Most of the people in this room with you this morning are working without government support or very little government support.
Yeah. But however, we have to work carefully with the government. We have registered the license with the Cambodian government. We have a tax report, and yeah, everything. We have to follow the rule of Cambodian and child protection policies as well. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
thank you for that.
Yeah.
We have time for one or two more sharings of how you've engaged with hidden capital in your communities, if anyone would like to share.
Hello, Bill. I want to share a bit about
Lang, of
what
course
I'm doing.
Of course you may.
Yeah. But first of all, and thank you for Hanmin that you are share incredible topic today. And thank you, Bill, for your holding this session. So I am Sok-Leng from Love Without Boundary. It's just, but normally Love Without Boundary is registered in US, but we are take the name of Love Without Boundary to register in Cambodia. So only in Phoi Pat, the border between Cambodia and Thailand. And but first of all, I don't know who is Love Without Boundary, but I just run my missionary and with my teenager, and just we are running a program called like Mercy Youth. So I work with teenager and to provide them all kind of like outreach activity, that we have a group of teenager, and then they reach out to the community and to teach another children of kind of like English program and teach them about safe migration, how to cross the border with safe. And it is just kind of like my volunteer job with Mercy Youth Group. So when I run that for 3 years, and I run out of my resource. So I spend a lot of my resource to put on the community, and then I exhausted and to run anymore. And then, and I'm going to quick and give that all what I have, and to the teenager, they can continue to run it. But lucky, and I met a person who called Bob, and he's come to do research of human trafficking in Thailand. And after he done with research of human trafficking, and then he asked his friend called Malina, and she said that if you want to do more research about Cambodia, just like with this guy, with Lane. So, and then he crossed the border to Phoi Pat to meet me, and it like to do more research about human trafficking. And after he found out, and we are struggle with kind of like continue with teenager group, and then he start to run kind of like raise fund and through GoFundMe. Maybe you already know it. And he not a good person to raise funds, so that's why he ran about 6 months, and then he dropped, he quit. And one of the founder of Love Without Boundary read his research, read his book. So after she read his book, and she make appointment of talking to him, and because she want to set up Love Without Boundary in Thailand. And after she talked to him, and he said that, can I recommend one guy in Cambodia, just right the border. So after you visit Thailand, you can cross the border to meet him. And after they are talking, so, and she come to Thailand to visit one NGO and want to make a partner with those NGO. And after that, and she got the border to meet me. So after I show the project in Phoi Pat to her, and she said that, okay, I'm not decide to put the project in Thailand, but gonna bring those projects to Cambodia. So that's why it is a new hope. And but what she does, she doesn't manage. She just empowering Cambodian people to empower the project. She not control us, still working with So Paul, like work like kind of like a consultant, but not managing, you know. So right now, and we run just two main projects. One we call like foster care project. So the kid who abandoned, the kid who trafficking, the kid who sexual abuse from Thailand repatriate to Cambodia, and I'm the one set up foster care to put all of those kids to foster home. And right now we have 100 kids who living in foster care. And we have 2 NGO school and total 500 children who are study of education through the government curriculum, and 100 children from the kid from Damsai has been have visited at that place.
Yes.
And it is so terrible place.
Well,
Yes,
the
it
work
is
that
what-
the
yeah.
work that the work that you're doing there, Lang, is wonderful, and I'm really hoping that Sopal and I will be able to visit you on my next trip. And I love your story of finding the resources. And Wichani had her hand up a moment ago. Wichani, are you hearing me okay now?
Yes, I'm okay. I heard you call Sopani that I don't know it is me or other.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I said the wrong name. My
Oh,
apologies. I wanted
yeah,
Wichani. And
yes.
and I know that at the very beginning you started your school with virtually
Community.
with
Yeah.
nothing. How did you how did you connect with the informal hidden capital in your community? How did you do that?
Yes. First, I was born in this village, so I know everyone in this community. And as I mentioned before, that I joined with a group of volunteer works that called National Geographic and Limited Expression Group, that they hire a teacher to teach English language in my community. But I stopped to work there in 2015, and then I created a group of volunteers, like the student in high school, that they are 15, 16, or 17 years old. And then we together have a meeting, and I call some of old people in community to hold the meeting together and then ask for help. That first time, yes, we didn't have anything, but we start to ask for wood, like from pagoda, from public school, or somehow some family in the community, and then they help us to provide the wood. And after that, we start to build. Yeah, we start to build a building, like we call it is the old building, and it's simple one that we created from wood. And we don't know, especially I don't know how to build the school. That's why I asked the community member, the old people in this community, to help together with the volunteer students, and then we start up to create the green school. And for the roof of the school, I start to hold another meeting with community member, especially someone who want to send their children to study English language. And then I raise some fund from all of them. I told them about our need, because our school doesn't have a roof yet. So they start to provide some small fund to me, and then we start to build the green school. And the next time, our project progress from year to year, because as I mentioned, Tom O'Brien, yes, he is the one who find the donor to support my school. And one day I met a man. He is the US, American guide. He was here, and then he really interested in my project, and he introduced me to her name is Sarah Comerford. and she's the grant application foundation in USA. And then in 2018, we got fund to support the teacher salary, and we buy the land for our own organization, and more they support that foundation support the teacher salary for 5 years.
And the part of the story that I wanted you to tell, and you did it beautifully, was not so much about reaching out and finding foreign money to help you, but
Yes,
finding the help that is in your own community. And
of course.
you began there.
Yes, yes,
It was
of course.
community support, and not government officials or not
No, yeah.
chief, not people in power, but it was the community saw the need and trusted you to help to educate their kids.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Of course, everything starts from the community.
Yeah, and I think Hanmin, I think that's a reflection of your message.
Yes, very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. What a wonderful stories. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and thank you, Hanmin, for your presentation. And today I learned a lot from your topic. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
And Odom has his hand up again. Odom, what's on your mind?
Yeah, firstly, yeah, thank you to Aman, yeah, for your very powerful presentation. Yeah, actually, I like to share a little bit of what the 4-year sustainable projects that BFT are implementing to the village, especially in the rural area. As you aware that BFT is the Khmer funded operated NGO, program in and leading the villagers from a hand to mouth, existence to sustainable sufficiency over the course of 4 years. And this organization is guided by Madam Knowledge is Hope, Peace is Development. We actually use like our first year, our plan, the first year, the first of the 4-year projects priority are collecting preventable illness, basic sanitation and adult education and peace building. So and then the 4th year, the second year, we forcing place on improving the school in the village. The school management team is formed, and parent association, father, uniform and school, and provided to all family, and then the year 3, household income and commercial crop production, is now expected to increase, and all age children expected to be attended to school, vaccination provided. And the 4th year, BFT take the step back, allowing the villagers to operate, independently. And most of the households should, make their Hanmin, to generate income. And we respect, everything come to the everything, is the community involvement. We from the outsider, we got into the village, we got a group of people, we discuss, we sit in whatever is suitable, we got a group of leaders, villagers, women to come and sit and discuss what we can do, what can we do to help. So this is something like BFT have been using as the role, and we respect the village, decisions and their involvement. So all the achievement, of course, we get our partner from overseas abroad, such as Bill and Michael Coach, the back, funding, supporting the financial support. But in the ground, we as the NGO, we work with the villagers to solve their problem. The result is their action, and this is what we respect this role. Something like that, I like to share, and I hope you got some understanding from my speak.
Yeah, I did. Thank you. Oh, that's great.
Thank you for speaking up, Odam. I do appreciate that, and we're running a little long, but I want to close it on something you said about talking to the women, and that topic hasn't come up very much yet this evening, and but I've had several personal experiences when I was out in the field trying to understand and listen to the community, and paid attention to the women to my benefit, because they taught me things the men were not teaching me. And I just turn that one to you, Hanmin, maybe as a closing thought, is the role of the women in this hidden capital.
Oh, it's the role of women is very strong, and it's first, women are particularly in our communities and the villages are organized together in their own social ways, and the workplace. Sometimes they work together to do things, but in all other work is generally not alone, but they work together, whether it's preparation of a meal, whether it's bringing water to the village, and all. So the role of women are critically important in the life of a village. The second the second aspect of women, particularly the grandmothers, but also the mothers, play a very important role in the transmission of the culture. Because the children and grandchildren are reared by women and the grandparents, the culture and the spiritual integrity, the moral, the sense of goodness, oftentimes comes from the women. It's shared with the men, as many of you have shared in terms of your own story about the influence of your father, and his help and his sense of goodness in his relationship with you and other members of the family. But the role of women becomes a particularly important part of the informal capital. The other thing we've learned, I don't know if this is true in Cambodia, but what we're seeing in America is the girls that are basically in their high school when they're 12, 13, all the way to 18 years old. That period of time here in America is when these young ladies are able to speak both in English and their own mother language. And so they play, these young girls play a very important role in the family, at least in America, because they are the ones who translate for their grandparents, for the parents who don't speak English. They're the ones who oftentimes make decisions for their family members when they go to the hospitals and when they go to surgery. So the role of women younger in age, in terms of the family and helping strengthen the families and support the family, the role of older women who are in their adulthood and parenting, and their roles in terms of working together as a force to help the village or the community, and then the grandparents who are helping to transmit the culture to the grandchildren, in all three ways, and many more ways than that. The women are playing an extraordinary role in the relationships that are formed, and in the social fabric, the cohesiveness of the village and the community.
Thank you, Hanmin, and we ran this a little bit long, and to our benefit, I believe, And as you could see from the conversation and the questions and the comments and the shared stories, that you've touched on something really important here. And I would consider this a wonderful gift from you. And I'm hoping it's just the beginning of a larger conversation we'll find a way to have one of these days.
Yeah, I am too, and I feel very honored to be invited today, as well as very honored, deeply honored, where several of you have raised the possibility of my coming to share more of what I've learned from communities. And
so, on behalf of our whole group,
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you're welcome to stay. I know it's getting a little late for you, as it is here. You're welcome to stay. We typically use the second portion of our gathering here to just share celebrations and talk about what's happened in the last month or so that we're really excited about. Where's the good news? And so we like to lead with celebrations, and then as that will invariably transition into some difficulties and some struggles we're having and where we need some help. And that's also healthy to talk about that as well. So
yeah, unfortunately I can't, because I have something else I need to do tonight, and then tomorrow there's a meeting that came up that I'm going to need to prepare for. So I'm going to say that I really appreciate and feel once again really honored, and I look forward to continuing this conversation in some way. And thank you for inviting me. Thank you for the questions which you raised. Thank you for raising my spirit and my sense of hope and optimism for the wonderful, absolutely beautiful work in which you're doing in Cambodia, and Bill, for your work in fostering and nurturing and helping these young leaders become the great people that they are. Thank you. Thank you very much. And
thank you for being with us, and we will see you again, my friend.
Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, we hope to see you one day in Cambodia.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay.